HMS Sheffield lies sinking in the South Atlantic on a day, May the 4th, 1982, that brought the reality of war into Britain's dispute with Argentina over the Falkland Islands. An officer from the ship brought news to the aircraft carrier Hermes that Sheffield had been hit by an Exocet missile just above the waterline and that emergency firefighting equipment and medical assistance were urgently required. The attack on the Sheffield had been so swift and so unexpected that the men had no time to put on protective clothing. 20 men had died instantly. 20 more were flown to Hermes for emergency treatment. These were the first major casualties of the conflict, and some politicians back in London were so alarmed by the news that they demanded revenge reprisals on the Argentine mainland. But that would have weakened Britain's argument at the United Nations that the Falklands campaign was an act of self-defense. Nevertheless, the attack on Sheffield and the sight of such injuries stunned the public back home. What alarmed the naval authorities so much that day was the new technological development in war at sea, the Exocet missile. Sheffield had been hit by one of these French-made devices fired 20 miles away from aircraft flying too low to register on the ship's radar. Even the task force commander admitted that Exocet attacks made protection of the fleet a great deal more difficult. They changed the shape of war at sea, and nobody then had the answers. When these pictures were taken, the sea was relatively calm. The fire which swept through the decks was soon out. But the structural damage caused by the missile was close to the waterline, and 5 hours later, when the sea got rougher, the ship keeled over and sank. HMS Sheffield was the first major British warship lost in action for 37 years, and proof that from now on the war against Argentina would be more than diplomatic posturing and nationalist rhetoric. More lives were going to be lost, many more.